Hello everyone, this is Savita Acharya from Canara Engineering College. In this video lecture, I will be discussing data flow modeling. In the previous lecture, we have already come across gate level modeling. Okay. In gate level modeling, what we do is we instantiate the primitive gates as it is in the logic diagram. So the basic requirement of a gate level modeling is the logic diagram, gate level logic diagram. So the precise circuit needs to be known. So as this is fine as long as the circuit is simple. As the complexity of the circuit increases, getting a detailed logic diagram at the gate level becomes a tedious task. That's why moving a little higher in the level of abstraction is data flow modeling. So here Verilog allows us the circuit to be designed in terms of data flow between registers and how a design processes data rather than instantiation of individual gates. So this approach allows the designer to concentrate on optimizing the circuit in terms of data flow. So here the designer, it is enough for the designer if he knows the flow of data between the registers rather than the precise logic level diagram, gate level diagram. Okay. So currently we have automated tools called as synthesis tools to create the gate level netlist or gate level circuit from a data flow design. What I mean to say is if you have a Verilog code in terms of data flow in data flow modeling style, you can have the gate level netlist or gate level circuit automatically by using a CAD tool. So this process is called as logic synthesis. So commonly used term is RTL, that is the abbreviation for register transfer level. So this is commonly used term in this terminology for a combination of data flow modeling and behavioral modeling. So here usually in practically the Verilog code program or a circuit is designed in terms of Verilog code by mixing all different styles of modeling. That is, you may not have a circuit designed only using gate level modeling or only using data flow modeling or only using behavioral modeling. It could be a combination of two or more. Okay. So that's why basically this RTL is a terminology used for a combination of data flow modeling and behavioral modeling. So the choice of which modeling style to be used in the program depends on the application. In data flow modeling, the most basic element is the assignment statements. Assignment statements can be continuous assignments or with the delays. The continuous assignment statement can be of the implicit continuous assignment type as well. And under assignment statements with delay, you can have three variations, that is regular assignment delay, implicit continuous assignment delay and net declaration delay. So without knowing the name, you are already familiar with this continuous assignment. This continuous assignment is the most basic statement in data flow modeling, which is used to drive a value onto a net. So this continuous assignment statement starts with the keyword assign. So I'm sure you have used written many programs using this assign statements. Now that you know that this is a continuous assignment statement. You have written various programs in using the assign statement in Verilog. Now let us look at a few theoretical aspects of this assign statement. The left hand side of an assignment must always be a scalar or vector net or a concatenation of scalar and vector nets. It cannot be a scalar or vector register. So the important point here to be noted is it cannot be a scalar or vector register. So I hope you know there are two types of data. One is wire wire or net is used interchangeably, and the other data type is register, right? So we use registers when we need to storage of data. When we need a signal to store some data, register data type is used. And wire is used when there is no storage. Okay, wires are driven by signals, so there is no, it does not store. Just like you can think of a wire data type as a physical wire. What do you use a physical wire for? It just connects the 2 points. Whatever is at the one point is available at the other point. There is no storage. Okay, just like that, wires do not store. And here in data flow modeling, the assignment statements are event driven. That is, continuously they are driven, and hence they do not store any data. Okay, so that is why the left hand side of the assignment statement can be a scalar or vector net or a concatenation of these two. Now what do you mean by a scalar? Scalar means single bit. Now suppose I declare A as a wire A. Now this means A is a single bit data. Now what is a vector? Vector is when you declare a signal as multiple width, consisting of multiple width, that is multiple lines. So if I declare some signal B as wire 3 down to 0B, this means that B is a 4-bit signal. So B is 4 bits wide. Okay, that is what I mean by scalar or vector. So this is scalar, single bit is scalar, and multiple bit is vector. So left hand side always should be a net, and it cannot be a register. Second point is continuous assignments are always active. So as I told you, it is not sequential execution. When we are writing programs, when we have written, we have already looked at some programs in data flow modeling using assign statement. Well, and in this case, we have not bothered the sequence of the statements. So you can follow any order of the statements. So this will be driven not according to the sequence you have written, but it will be driven by event driven simulation. It will be simulated using event driven simulation. So the assignment expression is evaluated as soon as one of the right hand side operands changes and the value is assigned to the left hand side. Say for example, if I have say assign x equal to a plus b, something like this, and say assign y equal to say x or z or something, right? So whenever a and b, and whenever there is a change in the signal, a change in the value of a or b, this statement will be executed. So whenever this statement is executed, x will change, right? There will be some event happening on x. So as you see, x is used here as a variable or signal on the right hand side of the second expression, second statement, and hence whenever x changes, this statement will also be executed. Likewise, if you have y in some other statement which is above this or below this, there may be some other so many statements in between, which is not related to a, b, y or x, and you have something here, say p equal to uh, y and say z or something. So whenever this changes, this will be changed. It's a chain reaction. Okay, this will be executed. So this is meant by event driven simulation. So as this is what it means. The assignment expression is evaluated as soon as one of the right hand side operand changes and the value is assigned to the left hand side net. Third point is the operands on the right hand side can be registers or nets or function calls. Registers or nets can be scalars or vectors. So the first point I mentioned it cannot be registered. This is for the left hand side operand, whereas on the right hand side operand you can have a register or a net or even a function call, and it could be again scalar or vectors as well. Now delay values can be specified. This we have not done in our programs so far. Delay values can be specified for assignments in terms of time units. Delay values are used to control the time when a net is assigned the evaluated value. So this feature is similar to specifying delays for gates. So we have dealt with the delay example, and we have dealt with the different types of delays in gate level modeling. Something similar to that here is specifying delays in the assignment statement as well. So we'll look into this more in the next slides. Let us look at a few examples of this continuous assignment. The first one is assign out equal to I1 and I2. Here I1 and I2 both are single bit, as well as out is single bit. Okay. So this statement just evaluates the AND operation of I1 and I2 and assigns the result to the left hand side operand, that is out. The second example is using vectors. Address 1 and address 2 are 16-bit vector registers. So assign address 15 down to 0 equal to address 1 15 down to 0 multiplied by address 2 15 down to 0. So the 16-bit signal, address 1 and address 2 both are multiplied, and of course the product will be 32 bits, but the lower 16 bit of the product is stored in the in the signal address, that is in the 15 down to 0, this part of the address. Okay. The third example is the concatenation operator. Here we have not come across operators, we get to discuss this, but right now understand that having flower braces is concatenation operator. So the concatenation means it is going to append the signals end to end, okay, back to back. So Cout is a single bit signal, and sum 3 down to 0 is a 4-bit signal. So totally this will be 5-bit signal. Cout is the most significant bit, followed by the 4 bits of sum, equal to A 3 down to 0 plus B 3 down to 0 plus C in. So basically this is a full adder. Okay. Sorry, not a full adder, it's a 4-bit adder. 4-bit adder. So it is first adding, the A3, I'll write it this way, A2, A1, A0, and B3, B2, B1, B0, along with the C in the carry, right? So the sum will be S3, S2, S1 and S0, and the carry out will be extended on this carry out signal. Okay. So this is basically a 4-bit adder written in a single line. So we have an alternative here. The Verilog provides a shortcut by which a continuous assignment can be placed on a net when it is declared itself. So now with the regular continuous assignment, you have say wire out, this is the declaration, and assign out equal to in1 and in2. So it takes two statements to declare a signal and write the assignment statement. The same effect can be achieved by implicit continuous assignment. So this is a way wherein you are assigning while declaring the net itself. Anyhow, the left hand side variable or the signal should be a net. So we declare it as wire out, and here you can skip the assign statement, assign keyword equal to, so wire out equal to in1 and in2. So this is same as writing these two statements. Now we'll move on to assignment with delays. delay values control the time between the change in the right hand side operand and when the new value is assigned to the left hand side operand. Say, please note that in an assign statement, the right hand side of the assign statement the expression on the right hand side of the assign statement will be evaluated first, and the evaluated expression is assigned on the to the left hand side expression. Say for example, if I have say assign A equal to B or C. So in this expression, in this statement, the expression on the right hand side, that is B or C, will be evaluated first, and the result of this operation will be assigned to the left hand side operand, that is A. Okay. In this statement, I have not specified any delay, but I have an option of specifying a delay which decides the time at which the assignment has to take place. So there are three types of delay assignment, that is regular assignment delay, implicit continuous assignment delay, and net declaration delay. Let us look at an example of regular assignment delay. So assign #10 out equal to in1 and in2. So here there is an addition here, additional thing, that is #10. So this is where you specify the delay, that is after the assign keyword. So #10 will be 10 time units. So here the as soon as this expression is executed, or when will this expression be executed? Whenever there is a change in the signal on the right hand side of this statement. So the right hand side of this statement consists of in1 and in2. So whenever there is a change in the signal value of in1 or in2, this statement will be executed. But since there is a delay specified, as soon as the signal changes in one of these two signals, the statement for it will wait for this delay as long as this delay is specified. That is, in this case 10 time units it will wait, and only after that, at that time, the computation takes place and the assignment to the left hand side operand will take place. Say for example, the assignment operator working of this is depicted in this waveform. So these are the two signals, in1 and in2, that is the input signals, and the waveform gives the values it takes at different times. So it's the timing diagram. And now we are supposed to analyze the output for this assign statement. So at time t equal to 0, in1 and in2 both are 0, 0. So the output of this, the result of this expression for the values given here will be is assigned to the left hand side operator, that operand, that is out, only after 10 time units. So till 10 time units the output is unknown, so it is x, and at the time t equal to 10 the output of in1 and in2, so 0 and 0 is 0. So that is output. So there is no change till 20 time units on the input signals. At 20, both in1 and in2 become 1. Now the AND operation of in1 and in2, that is 1 and 1, is 1. But it will not become 1 immediately here. So it will wait for 10 time units, that is at 20 the change happened, so it will wait for 10 time units, that is 30. So at 30 it will look at the value, say at 30 there is no change, so at 30 it will capture the values, compute the result and give you out the output. So 1 and 1 is 1. So again there is no change in the input till time equal to 60 units. So till then the value of out will be retained to 1, and at 60 in1 becomes 0, in2 is 1 itself. So 0 and 1 is 0, but this will be computed only after 10 time units. So 60 plus 10 at 70, it will look at the values on in1 and in2. Both are one is 0, the other one is 1. So 0 and 1 is 0. So it will go on. Next at 80, there is a change on in1. That is, it goes to 1. Right. So actually 1 and 1 should be 1. So this evaluation will be done only after a delay of 10 time units. This is what you have specified in the regular assignment statement, the delay assignment. So 80 plus 10 at 90, the output will come out. But at 90, if you go and capture the input values, again they are 0 and 1, for which the output is 0 only. So now why this has happened? That is, the change here at 80 has not been accounted for at the output. This is because the pulse that was going to 1 or at in 1 at 80 time units was 1 only till 5 time units. That is, at 80 it became 1, and at 85 it came back to 0, right? So this pulse width, or the time duration for which that input was 1, is only 5 time units, which is less than the delay specified. So remember that whenever there is a change in the input signal, the output will change, but it will be evaluated. The expression will be computed only after the specified delay. You can see here. Here again I will repeat. You can see here at 20 both changed, and output is evaluated only at 30. So 1 and 1 is 1. Here again at 60 it changed, and output is computed at 70. 0, 1 is 0. Here again at 80 it changed, and the value will be computed at 90. But at 90 this change has been nullified, and again it has become 0, because of which the output is 0 itself. So any input change which is less than, for a duration which is less than the specified delay, will not be accounted at the output. The same thing is specified here, whatever I have explained in the previous slide. Any change in values of in1 or in2 will result in a delay of 10 time units before recomputation of the expression in1 and in2, and the result will be assigned to out. That is what is meaning of regular assignment delay. Now if in1 or in2 changes value again before 10 time units, when the result propagates to out, the values of in1 and in2 at the time of recomputation are considered. This property is called inertial delay. Now this is what happened here. Okay, the in1 changed before the 10 time units gap delay, and hence the value at the time of recomputation are considered. So that is why the change that happened at this point did not come to the output. So that is, an input pulse that is shorter than the delay of the assignment statement does not propagate to the output. A variation of this regular assignment delay, that is implicit continuous assignment delay. So there is an equivalent method specified to that is implicit continuous assignment to specify both a delay and an assignment on the net. That is, for example, wire #10 out. So wire out is a declaration statement. In the declaration statement itself you specify the delay, that is #10. And in the same statement you assign the expression, that is out equal to in1 and in2. So this statement is same as writing these two statements, that is wire out assign #10 out equal to in1 and in2. This is the same thing that we have seen earlier, that is under regular assignment delay. Okay, these two can be combined to this one statement, and this is called as implicit continuous assignment delay. In net declaration delay, a delay can be specified on a net when it is declared without putting a continuous assignment statement on the net. So if a delay is specified on a net out, then any value change applied to the net out is delayed accordingly. Now this is slightly different from the previous implicit assignment delay. In implicit assignment delay, what you do is in the assignment statement itself you declare the wire and specify the delay, and immediately following that you write the assignment statement, that is in 1 and in 2. But here what we do is in net declaration delay, while declaring the net wire out itself, I specify the delay, that is #10, wire #10 out, and assign out equal to in1 and in2. In this case, so here out will be evaluated, in1 and in2 will be evaluated and assigned after a delay of 10 time units. Even though in this assignment statement the delay is not specified, it appears as though it is a regular assignment, but since the delay is specified in the declaration itself, wherever you use the signal out, it will be associated with the 10 time units delay. Okay, so the above statement has the same effect as the following, that is wire out assign #10 out equal to in1 and in2. Next we'll move on to expressions, operators and operands. All these are familiar to you, but just for the sake of continuity I have put in here. Expressions are constructs that combine operators and operands to produce a result. So example of expression is A XOR B. So A and B here are operands, XOR is the operator, and this whole thing is an expression. The second example is address 1 20:17 plus address 2 20:17. So this is an example of part select. So you have selected a part of the vector. Okay. So 20:17 means we have selected 4 bits of that vector. So when you are operating on any two operands, then the two operands should be compatible in size. That's why now here we are adding. So that's why both of them are 4 bit. The third example is in1 or in2. Next is operands. Operands can be constants, integers, real numbers, nets, register, times, bit select. Bit select means one bit of a vector net or a vector register. Part select means selected bits of the vector net or register vector. Memories or function calls. Basically, operands can be any of the data types that you have studied in module 2. Example is integer count, final count. So final count equal to count plus 1. Here count is an integer operand. Likewise, you have another example, real A, B, C. C equal to A minus B. So here A, B, C are real operands. Next, register 15 down to 0, register 1, register 2. Meaning register 1 and register 2 I have declared as a 16-bit register. And register out I have declared as a 4-bit register. Okay. Now what I am doing is register out equal to register 1 3 down to 0 XOR register 2 3 down to 0. So here what we have done is we have done part select. Part select, that is selected bits of the vector or register. So net vector or register vector. So here only 4 bits of register 1 and register 2 we have XORed, and the result we have assigned to register out, because register out itself is a 4-bit register. Finally, operators. Operators act on the operands to produce desired results. Verilog provides various types of operators. We'll be dealing with operators immediately. So here D1 and D2. So here 2 ampersand is an operator on operands D1 and D2. It's a logical AND. We will discuss this later. Not of A of 0. Here not is an operator on operand A of 0. B right shift 1. So right shift is an operator on operands B and 1. In this video we have discussed about continuous assignment and assignment with delays. In the next coming video we will discuss about operators. Thank you.